really love the movie Sputnik. I love the alien concept. I just enjoyed it. It was kind of the similar take. We've seen this several times with a different alien, and it was in Russian. But it seemed as though one thing that was unclear was who the villain was of the movie. When the movie starts out, we see the girl, who I absolutely love as the main character. She's amazing, she's gutsy, and she basically doesn't care what you feel you think is right just because it doesn't look good. As far as she's concerned, if it yields a positive result, in her case, the boy being saved from his condition, then that's the method that she's going to use. I totally related to her because you do have a lot of sensitive people that every decade that goes by, all of a sudden it's not okay to say certain things or do certain things, which people have been doing for a while, but it works. Now, they have new age ways of doing things, which her medical superiors probably figured, but it takes years or it doesn't work at all and they're bleeding the patients dry. So I totally got where she was coming from, and I was like, okay, yeah, that was kind of like she almost drowned that kid. But the kid's now healed, though. Pretty sure the parent was upset, and I think they'd even mentioned this in the movie, but honestly, if it was my kid or my family member, yeah, I would have been outraged at first. I'm like, what the frick are you doing? But then they're healthy and they're no longer having seizures or issues ever again. I would hug and kiss that woman. But of course, corporate and overly sensitive people don't agree. So when she was introduced this way, I was like, okay, this is an underdog. And you have people on one end of the spectrum where they'd be like, man, I don't like this woman. And then other people that are like, well, I think she's pretty awesome. And then people in the middle. The reason why the government even hired her in the first place is because they knew that she was someone who was strong enough to make a decision, not based off of emotion, but based off of necessity and efficiency, based on the greater good or the greater outcome. It is later exposed to her that this man, an astronaut that came back down to Earth, has this alien parasite inside of him. An alien parasite that can easily kill another human being very quickly, that needs to feed on human beings, and it doesn't even need to feed on their meat. It doesn't just feed on their meat, it requires them to be afraid for them to taste good, just like Pennywise from Stephen King's It, so that it can eat. If they're not afraid, I mean, it will still attack people, I think, if they're not afraid, but you smell better to them or to the creature when you are afraid, and that makes it want to eat you. Like I said, doesn't stop it from attacking people who are in its way. So, number 1, new alien creature that nobody really knows much about. 2, this alien creature is highly hostile, aggressive, and dangerous. It is also parasitic or symbiotic in nature, in which it seems to benefit more out of the symbiosis. 3, we need to be concerned as to whether or not there are more of these things. This thing also opened up the capsule or knew how to open it to get inside. That means that this creature is very intelligent, or it has come into contact with other artificial modules or structures, so it knows exactly how a sealed door works. So tell me why this woman all of a sudden feels bad just because they're feeding the most horrible criminals you can think of on the face of the earth. Yes, they're still people, but the general even said, look, this person, he assaulted and did something horrible to a little 12-year-old girl. As far as he's concerned, the best thing that this horrible person, this predator, could ever do is to become the prey to another predator to aid in the research of keeping the world safe from this alien invader. Granted, we don't know if this alien is carrying any eggs. They don't really know that much about it. So in comes the woman who is a great character, who is a great personality, and she will do what is right for the good of mankind. Suddenly her character flips, and the astronaut that had the alien inside of him, somewhere along the line, they don't really give you a time period, she decides to start falling in love with him. And I like that she's honest with him, but then she agrees to help him escape with the alien inside of him. She doesn't consider, for some reason, it just goes right over her head that if he gets loose, his alien still needs to eat people. So instead of being in a controlled prison area where actual convicted criminals and the worst people on the planet are being fed to this thing so that they can research how it can be used, let's face it, the military wants to weaponize it. Instead of trying to find a way to destroy it outright, she decides to help this guy escape with the alien inside of him that could come out at any moment and kill everyone else. It just seems very inconsistent for her character, and in some weird way, it seems as though she was willing to risk all of humanity just because she had the hots for this guy. So it really made me think, I'm like, man, the woman is the villain of the story, because if this alien went loose and actually did that, then that would be really bad. The guy is the real hero. He was a hero after all because he killed himself, which we don't know if that killed the alien or not. That's another video we're going to talk about, but it made me think. This alien, which we're going to call the Sputnik alien, was able to allow the carrier or the host to be in its peak condition. Is it possible that part of that is being able to charm a female? Hear me out. You see, we as humans produce pheromones. We produce these scents from our substances that we secrete from our body that is supposed to be attractive to the opposite gender. Males produce something called androstenol, and it's the scent produced by their man sweat, which is very attractive to females. Studies have shown, and they claim, that women at their peak fertility prefer the smell of men oozing with testosterone. And hear this. Other research suggests that fertile women are attracted to men with high levels of the stress hormone cortisol, which may be involved in stronger immune systems. Cortisol is the very thing that the alien favors. And from the excerpt from LiveScience.com, in the new study, researchers tested how women's sexual scent preferences change depending on men's level of testosterone and cortisol. The Sputnik alien enhances the host's ability to be at his peak condition, which means peak physical condition, peak masculinity, the best that he can possibly be, the best version he can be of himself. Then he is going to be oozing with that testosterone. And I think that that poor woman wasn't in her right mind. I think that her hanging around this guy noticed the more she hung around him is the more attracted to him she got. And it just came out of nowhere for no reason. It just didn't make sense for the character, and I was really mad. It's one of those things that you're just like, this is horrible writing. And it might have been, unless the people who created this creature put this in the writing and considered that the woman is actually a victim. She is totally freaking charmed by this alien. She doesn't even realize it.
Я их не боюсь.
Ты меня бойся. Она во мне прижилась.
Это не ты.
The cortisol and the androstenol is just wafting off of this guy, and the girl cannot help it. She is a victim of her own instinctive desires, and you know that this is the case because that's why the males who've consistently worked around this guy were never affected by it and treated him like a specimen. This girl, who is a strong character who is willing to do what is good, threw all caution to the wind, forgot about the safety of humanity, and fell head over heels for this guy. Even when he was like at the very end of the movie, he was like, no, you can't save me. This alien's inside of me. I have to kill it. And she's like, no, we can do it. We can save you. Like, I was like, what happened to her logic? What the hell? You were such a logical person. As a matter of fact, people scorned her at the beginning of the movie because she was so logical, because she was so cold and calculating.
Но некоторую халатность, извините, придется признать.
Халатность – это ненадлежащее исполнение своих обязанностей. А я все сделала как нужно.
Чуть не утопив пациента.
Временно перекрыв доступ кислорода в легкие.
Again, notice how cold and calculating she is. Not that she is cold and calculating, meaning she doesn't care, but she knows of her method and her method works. And she's not backing down. Even though it almost killed this kid, she believes that this was right. This was her response.
Его неправильно диагностировали, стандартная терапия не дала бы никаких
Вы
результатов.
его под воду на минуту почти засунули. Парню 17 лет.
So it was like a complete 180 flip, and that is the only explanation I can give. So, if you really want to say who was the real villain of this, the alien was. Got you there. Yeah, it would have seemed from the top down or from the outside in that the woman is actually the villain, but if you look closer to what is possibly happening, that's my theory, the alien was able to control this woman by proxy because she was attracted to the scents coming off of this male. A smell that she probably doesn't smell or experience very often because this human is basically like a super soldier. That is a result of him carrying this extraterrestrial who is making his body the best physical peak condition it can be, and who has also given him the powers of regeneration, peak physicality, masculinity, and even stronger mental fortitude than he already had. So what do you guys think about this theory? I got you there. Otherwise, it's just bad writing. But I'd like to think that they actually thought that through, because that would make a lot of sense. It could also be that her character is just the kind of person that whoever she latches onto and you give her a job and say, save this person, that's the only things that she can think of. She's narrow-minded. But I don't think she'd be that stupid to put all of humanity at risk. Or maybe she is. Let us know what you think in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.